drink champagne. I'm totally vibing. It's true what they say. It's all about timing.
Hi guys, welcome back to Unscripted. My name is C Chronicles and I post fragrance related content on this platform. Now if you like that and you are not subscribed, kindly consider subscribing and joining the family. To those who are returning, thank you so much for the continued support. I am testing fragrances in this video, guys. So we are testing niche fragrances. This is something that I prefer to do from time to time to help those that may want to make a decision to purchase some of these fragrances. So I do still have some of the miniatures that I got from Ajwa. She purchased these off Scent Split. I have Mula with me here. Disclaimer, guys, I'm not giving you performance as in lasting power and all, because these fragrances are off 1 ml vials, so it will be impossible to wear them and test them fully to an extent of knowing performance. But what I'm going to be doing, as I did in the previous video, is I'm just going to be sniffing and telling you my thoughts, right? Now, this is the original Mula. Remember, there's a Mula double caramel. This is not the double caramel. However, I do have the little vial of the double caramel, which I'm going to make sure that I feature here before I close the video. What you're going to get just smelling this fragrance like this is caramel, spice, and vanilla. It is built on that sugar tone of the caramel, of course, mixing with the vanilla, and then it gets into a spicy tone of the ginger as well as the oud. But the oud in here, guys, is not so prominent. Some of you guys might actually miss the oudy part because it is not that pushy type of oud, or that oud done in a smoky Middle Eastern style of oud that sometimes is done in certain fragrances. This is just a nice refined oud, and you're going to get a sweet boozy accord in the entire wrap up of the DNA, and it comes across as a rich, even fruity fragrance, but it does have that undeniable toasty feel of it. The fruits here, which is the peach, and I think there's the berries, raspberry and strawberry, do not really give each other a turn per se. It just is a fruity wrap up without this fragrance presenting as raspberry prominent or peach prominent. You're just going to have a fruity wrap up to this package, in the DNA. So yeah, it's a beautiful fragrance overall, but it has given me a little bit of an idea as to why people, sorry guys if I look distracted, I'm actually looking for the fragrance. Okay. So certainly a fragrance I cannot fault, but while I was doing the test run, there was something that was familiar in this fragrance and I was wondering why. And when I checked with the Fragrantica database, it did say that it did have a lot of votes that were pointing to the fact that it does share a lot of similarities with Xerjoff's Le Capital. Now, I don't have a Xerjoff's Le Capital in my collection, but I do have a fragrance from Latafa called Kashaf that I struggle with a lot. This is actually supposed to be forwarded to a subscriber, but I still haven't found the time to do so. Somebody said they want this fragrance because I did put it on the chopping list. Now I was wondering, whether Latafa had nailed this, because I purchased it for the strawberry, the berries, the fruity punch, the peach, and I wasn't getting that. I was just getting a rounded, warm, smooth fragrance that wasn't really speaking much until, after smelling Mula, I was getting something similar, and I thought, what is something there that is familiar? And then I realized that it smells a little bit like Kashaf. And Kashaf has been a fragrance that a lot of my subscribers have been cluing me up that it is a Xerjoff Le Capital clone. So yeah, now I do get the similarities. Okay, this hasn't been passed off as a Mula clone, but if you love Xerjoff Le Capital, I get a little bit of Xerjoff Le Capital in this, and this has been likened to Xerjoff Le Capital, so Latafa was not far off. The only thing I can clue you up on when it comes to this one is, if you start with the real thing, perhaps, then it will, kind of initiate you into accepting this, because it's just a weird juice, if I may say. Okay, moving on to number 2, guys, is this one. This drew my interest because this is Minuit et Demi, right? Drew my interest because, of course, Demi Rollin is a, fragrance reviewer. And I just wanted to test or to get a whiff of what nose she has. And this, I'm gonna say, is also built around that caramel, the spices, so you are to expect kind of like a sweet tone in this fragrance, but it is a DNA made of a lot of complex or a mixture of what would make a complex fragrance. So do expect some coffee, some woods, booze in its fragrance, spices, making it an aromatic, woody, vanillin fragrance with sweet accord, but also that booze, making a statement there. This, I'm going to say, is a weird one in the first 30-45 minutes. It is the sort of fragrance, this I actually did put on my arm, just as it was. One, I did manage to I did decide to put, physically put on my arm, and I did put some generously there. If you can see there, it's actually almost finished there, because I just put it on my arm and accidentally spilt a lot of it. So it was a fragrance that I did get to experience. Okay, this is weird. It's gonna come across as not doing much or even underwhelming the first 20-30 minutes, but it's the dry down when it comes to Minuit et Demi. The dry down is going to present a tobacco note, but that tobacco note without being pushy, a sexy, boozy, warm, addictive scent that is intoxicating and even difficult to describe. You can see, why this one is maybe under that fragrance du bois tag, because I've always wondered why the fragrance du bois fragrances on the pricey side and all. I think it's about the ingredients and how they fuse them. And I see a beautiful scent here. Money permitting, of course, I would buy full bottle, but I'm not at that point at the moment. So that is what I can say about Minuit et Demi. If you test it in a store, give it time. It's one that opens up, page by page slowly. You are just going to have like a rich concentrated scent that is a bit all over the place at the beginning there, and then the pages start to rise to the surface, and it does have a decent lasting power. This I can talk of the lasting power because remember I did say that I did spray it on my arm, right? Well, the next one, guys, is going to be from Xerjoff, and this one is Starlight. I try to make sure that you guys can see the name. So that's Xerjoff, right? And that is where it says Starlight. Okay, pardon my hands, I'm always throwing my weight around at home. We were painting and all, so my hands are a little bit roughed up. Right now, this I'm gonna outright say, though I have tested not all the Xerjoffs, I have not so many Xerjoffs that I like, but Starlight is one I can confidently say it's a beautiful fragrance. I would add this to my top 10 Xerjoffs, in as much as I haven't exhausted all of them. This is a gorgeous fragrance, guys. It's going to give you sweet, an amber wrap up to it. It's going to give you almond, especially, and I think it is that almond mixing with the spice that makes this one very beautiful. It's not really nutty, but there is a little bit of a nutty tone to it, and that nuttiness, as you're enjoying it, is immediately joined by the cloves and the cinnamon to make this a spicy scent with a woody wrap up. And that's woody wrap up, especially the cedar coming to the surface there. So it is quite a concentrated fragrance. And in as much as it does have a sweetness to it, there's also a bitter tone to it. They're coming from the cardamom and just a little tease of the citruses there. So if you like your fragrances with a bit of everything, I'm going to say, this one is going to take your fancy. It is luxurious. Just smelling it like this is also cozy, one of those comforting scents, and a little bit of a gourmand touch to it. Warm gourmand touch, nature to it. And if you're just to end and just sniffing it like this without getting into the notes, you're going to get a candy accord in this as well. So I like, Xerjoff Starlight. I haven't exhausted all of them, but I would certainly put this one under the top 10, under my top 10 Xerjoffs based on the ones that I've sniffed before. It's the third one on the lineup, guys, and it's called Starlight. And then from Micallef, guys, we have Gin Tonic. Let me see if I can give you like a little bit of a close-up there. Okay, that is the Gin Tonic from Micallef, right? Let's see how this one smells. All right, yeah, this is one that I actually was also drawn to. Okay, this is Lux in a bottle. This is an example of how I would love my fragrances, my green fragrances, to vibe like. Okay, it is built around that green tone. You're going to get a greenness in here, spices, moss, citruses, that sort of thing. And it immediately asserts itself as a green scent, but without doing, too much. And there is also the use of the actual tonic water in this, mixing with the gin. So it is liqueur-based fragrance. But what I like about the liqueur tone of this is it doesn't become drunken boozy. Like it doesn't come in like a, you know, gin has this distinct like a, you know, liqueur feel to it, where somebody who's been drinking gin, even the next morning, you can actually feel it on them, because it has a thing where it kind of even, you know, comes out in sweat and that. It doesn't have that prominence of the gin note to an extent of somebody, you know, mistaking you as just having had a couple of shots of gin. So it is liqueur based with that gin note, but without it being like an evident slap in the face, you know, boozy like alcohol gin tone there. So it's just a wrap up of everything, that greenness, that freshness, and you know, that mossiness drying down, you know, with that gin accord, and of course that tonic. So you're going to get a little bit of some bitterness as well from this fragrance, and a little bit of some zestiness as well from this fragrance. So I do like it, guys. Would I purchase it full size? Maybe not, because when it comes to the fresh green aquatic type of style fragrances, there's a lot of them on the market. So this it's not striking enough for me to say, even if I had money, I'll purchase full size. But I appreciate how it vibes. It's a beautiful fragrance, especially for those who like, you know, their fragrances liquor toned. Okay. Now the next one is going to be Initio's Mask Therapy. I picked this one specifically because it is one of those DNAs that has been played around with a lot in the dupe community, and I wanted to see to what extent some of these dupe houses have actually managed to nail this, right? So this is off Initio, and it's Mask Therapy. So you are to expect some musk, but I'm going to say it out right there that I don't get like a very obvious musky type of fragrance. I do get a sexy, clean, citrusy tone of a fragrance with a waxy magnolia. So it is mostly the magnolia that I get in this than the actual musk, but there is a wrap up there that is soft that will remind you of musk. But the name Mask Therapy in itself, I would say I don't outright get a musk to an extent where I would say if you love musky fragrances, rush for this one. Is that black currant, I think. That blackcurrant note, I think, is the one that actually, you know, weighs in a lot on that musk to an extent of not making it all about the musk. It is generally a refined fragrance, beautiful fragrance, and of the clones that I've smelt, okay, I didn't get to add one to my collection because the actual clones that I've smelt haven't given me something as refined as this. So I don't have this as a clone even in my collection, but I can see, you know, how refined it is and certainly why it is popular. So this is Mask Therapy, guys, from the house of Initio. And now, while we're on Initio, the good thing about this scent split discovery set is it also had side effects. So it was easy for me to say, okay, I'm going to do the Mask Therapy and then do the side effects at the same time, just to see, you know, how the Initios vibe like. Okay, so now this one also is or has been played around a lot within the, you know, dupe community. And I'm going to say this one, I think Maison Alhambra has got a dupe that's pretty close. Where it's different there from the Maison Alhambra clone is the concentration. This comes across as very thick, concentrated, sweet, spicy, woody there, just by smelling it, okay? And it does have somewhat of a prominent tobacco note, and there is that general Hideon, you know, note there that is adding like a waxy, sometimes you can call it a synthetic tone, but it's not synthetic in here. In the clone that I smelled, it kind of came off as plasticky synthetic. There is that Hideon in here as well, but it's giving like the whole composition a waxy tone, and then the creamy sandalwood gets into the mix there. So I can say I can't fault this one as well. It's an awesome fragrance altogether. It is a lush scent with that boozy note as well. So do expect some tobacco and booze in here. But it's also one of those, again, that I'll say does not interpret as though you've been drinking alcohol. So it's going to just have like a tease of the booziness, enough for it to take a place as a boozy note, but without necessarily coming across as outright drunken boozy. Okay, so I'm going to leave 3 here because I don't want this video to take an eternity. The 3 that I'm going to leave are Moonfedin, because I didn't give them a good test run. So I'm just going to leave that. Mystic Sugar and Celeste, I'm just going to stop it at Mula double caramel. This I had to include because remember we did put the Mula there, I think, as number 1. So I just thought I'm going to include Byron's Mula double caramel for those who maybe want to compare what the differences are with the original Mula. This one I'm going to say immediately draws me in. It's way better than the original Mula. I get a more sweeter fragrance with that double caramel. And the caramel is a bit toasty in here. So this is going to be definitely on the sweet side because of the vanilla as well that joins into the mix. And it does have a spicy ginger accord to it and some berries as well. But the berries, again, I'm going to interpret, as I said, that the Mula original and the double Mula have been likened to Xerjoff's Le Capital. And this one has been going around as a Xerjoff Le Capital clone, this Kashaf. And the same thing I can say that I get from the, Mula, Le Capital, the Kashaf, and the double Mula is that uniform accord of the fruits not necessarily coming out in their prominence there. So the fruits just present as one thing. So if you buy this, say, for the berries, or you buy it because you love the peach, you might find yourself scraping. Or the peach maybe you can get, but you might find yourself scraping and trying to see whether, you can smell some of the notes in there. This one has a little bit of an oudi tone there, and a general patchouli, making it do a little bit more work than the original Mula. So out of the two, I would certainly go for this Mula, the double caramel Mula than the regular Mula. So I'm going to close it at here, guys, because the video is almost 20 minutes long. So instead of doing the other three, I'm probably going to do these ones maybe with Ajwai in one of her videos, and we can call it a wrap. I think in total she came with about 20 of the testers, and I did have a fun time testing them out. C Chronicles is my name. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's meet in the comment section where we're obviously going to discuss more about fragrances. Let me know your thoughts on some of the fragrances that I did talk about here. Which ones are your favorite? Do turn on post notifications while you're at it. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Like and share this one. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.